child in Valorant has heard the tale before about the cursed mummy boy who felt his heart no more. So sad and lorn, the helpless lad, Amumu was his name. He ventured out to find a friend and learn about his bane. For many years, young Amumu traveled through the lands, determined to make friends if only they would understand. But even when Amumu stood upon the ledge of home, his hope would disappoint him.
Good evening, SEAL community. I am Cage the Caged Reaper coming out of retirement for a banger of a semifinals between the Squirtle squad and the Silverbacks. With me here tonight, I've got Brewer.
Yeah, it should be a good series. Looking forward to this one.
It's going to be a bit of a banger here. We've got the first team all-star bot lane on the side of the Silverbacks. And for the Squirtle squad, you got Foozle Bamboozle in the mid lane, who is the current kill leader in Shurima by almost 200 kills. 20 kills.
Heck
And
yeah.
also second team all-star.
Yeah, we got a lot of great players in this one. I think should be really good to see them kind of go off against each other, both kind of looking to get in the finals, try and get a victory. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting draft though, because I think while all players on all teams are pretty strong, each team kind of has a specific kind of really strength they want to kind of focus on. You know, Squirrel Squad definitely is a team that plays through their mid laner, Foozle Bamboozle. He's definitely, when they win, oftentimes the big carry. On the Silverbacks, you have, like you said, the first team bot lane, but you also have a really, really strong top side of the map that helped push them through their quarterfinals match last week.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big tale of two sides of the map here coming into this game, where you've got the heavily topside favored Silverbacks, and you've got a pretty even bot lane, but then the mid lane goes in the favor of the Squirtle squad. So it's going to really come down to that mid jungle and where they manage to put their pressure.
Yeah, you know, in their week early on, I think it was week 2 matchup, Squirrel Squad did take the 2-0 over the Silverbacks. Part of that coming off a dominant mid performance. Foozle had a 14-1 performance on his Diana pick. So it'll be interesting to see. They did select red side for the first game, so it'll be interesting to see if they're doing that with the intention of getting a very strong matchup for him in the mid.
You have to imagine that if you're coming into this game as the Squirtle squad, you're planning on using that last pick for your mid laner. I'm more interested to see what the Silverbacks response is going to be and what they think their priorities are. I know that they can get a little bit creative with the picks in mid and top sometimes.
Yeah, you know, the Silverbacks did in their quarterfinals match. They actually lost the first game before bouncing back with 2 wins to move on. But a lot of that was coming off dominant performance out of their jungler on Graves. So I would look to see if, I imagine he might get denied that pick this evening, but it'll be curious to see what he gets on, because I think a lot of their success last week came off a really strong jungle performance.
Yeah, both junglers here in the top division of junglers in this league, both known for slightly more aggressive picks. So it'll be interesting to see which side of the aggression we see. and also just how their solo laners are going to be able to get in time. I mean, you've always got the problem of you may be better one-on-one, but as soon as you have more people showing up to the fight, it can be a problem.
Yeah, no doubt. It'd be very interesting to track where the priority lies in the draft. I think both teams have somewhat similar champion pools that I know both mid laners really favor their Cassiopeia. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of picks have a lot of priority on both sides. See if there's certain picks that are going to be looking to get first picked away, stolen away, or if they're going to more value picking later. It'll be curious to see what actually gets value. And I think this first draft will be an indication of what we can expect for the rest of the series.
I definitely think that we're going to see both of these teams adapt their draft strategy as this game and series goes on, because both teams definitely have some pocket picks that can cause real havoc, and it's bound to one way or the other bounce off. Our lobby broke and now I'm having trouble getting back in.
No problem. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see because, I mean, you mentioned that both junglers like playing aggressive picks, but they also both have maybe not as aggressive picks. Hove, I know he loves the Zac pick. He performs pretty well on that one. Slowed on the side of the Silverbacks performs. He has a pocket pick Ivern that he performs well on. So not exactly. That's nowhere near as aggressive as the Graves, obviously, but top laners both have good proficiency on tanks, but also can both play the carries. Fiora was picked by Karen Franz in their victory in the beginning of the season and was actually banned away from him the second game because the Silverbacks felt that was a problem. Yeah, so it'll be very interesting to see what exactly they want to go for and what they feel is the best strategy coming in to this match.
The mid matchup, Kev, is going to be real interesting. I think you have to definitely think it's in favor of Team Squirtle Squad with the dynamic nature of the way that Fuzel carries games. Yeah. And there we see the Diana ban coming out right away following the Graves and the Kane ban.
Yeah, what the Diana ban indicates to me is that the Silverbacks are going to first pick Orianna because they did that in week 2, but the Diana was a good counter pick that punished it really hard. But they might be saying, if we pick Orianna this time, you don't have a counter.
Yeah, I mean, it'll really come down to, we know Vriv likes to play AD Assassins, and they tend to be his best picks, but in the team setting, he gets pushed onto a bit more of his B-tier picks, which are like the Azir and the Galio I think he's played recently. But on the side of the Squirtle Squad, everything that Fuzel plays is a team-oriented pick. He doesn't really have many individual, I'm going to go off in a side lane and just walk down Tryndamere-esque picks. Oh, and the Ashe Lulu ban, putting major respect onto that bot lane there.
Yeah, I think that they're obviously saying we're a little bit scared of that. But Silverbacks are actually going to start out with what looks to be an Ornn first pick. Obviously a premier tank. I mean, there are answers into Ornn, but you really can't go wrong with just locking him in.
I know that when we were playing the Silverbacks, we banned Ornn because it's one of Snizbone's kind of top 3 champions. I am really surprised to see that the Gnar went through, like didn't get banned, didn't get picked. I got to wonder if he's dropped the priority on that a little bit, or if they just think that the Ornn is too strong for team fights for it to matter.
Yeah. They are going to answer with a Zac pick. Like we mentioned, Hove, very proficient on that champion, getting a little bit of tank on their own side as well.
Also provides him a little bit of insulation from the potential invades that Slowed likes to really run. There's times when Slowed will be in your jungle the whole time, and I feel like on a pick like Zac, you have more time for your team to get to you and bail you out. Looks like a set in top lane for Karen Franz.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning the set could obviously be flexed to support. It's a strong pick there, but I do think Karen would like the set matchup. He has played things like the Kale into Ornn as well, which they might be waiting to see if the draft goes that direction. But Hecarim and what looks to be Yuumi getting locked in on the Silverbacks. Yeah, that is that's go fast. That is buff the Hecarim. That is, he's trying to run over you. So
yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised. I haven't seen a Yuumi pick in quite a little while that's gone through. So I have to imagine that we're going to see some really, really damage-oriented picks out of the mid lane here because Hecarim's great. The Yumi's going to be great on the Hecarim, can make him a little bit hard, nearly unkillable, especially with the Ornn upgrade.
Yep.
But you've got to wonder and worry if they're going to have enough damage with the way that it's starting to shape out. And there comes the Caitlyn for Ace. I know that's one of his absolute favorites.
Yeah, the Caitlin's a smart pick. You know, the weakness of Yumi is the early game, and Caitlin's a pick that obviously excels in the early game. I'd be interested to see if they maybe ban away Ezreal, so you deny like the Ezreal Yumi to try to like make the Yumi have a potential to get punished. It'd be interesting to see what they think is. But they banned the Zoe first. You know, that's a good champ for Riv.
Ban coming through on Mycroft's Thresh, which is a little bit interesting. I know that Mycroft likes the champion, but I don't think that it's necessarily that counter to what the Silverbacks would want to be doing, unless they are planning on coming through with that assassin mid laner for Riv.
Yeah, I mean, the Thresh Caitlin's obviously just a really strong lane, and you're banning away a really good player's comfort pick. So, I mean, it makes sense in my mind. But with the Syndra ban, you're now going to have to see what Foozle Bamboozle wants to go to. But I imagine he'll still wait for that last pick, so they'll probably go ahead and just grab a strong support here.
Yeah, you have to imagine that you're going to get the support here. It's going to be, oh, maybe they're trolling us. Maybe they're not. Yeah, there we go. That's more in line with what I would expect to see.
The Taric actually came through. So, wow. Yep, not as an aggressive of an early bot lane, but you know, Taric later game with the ultimate obviously being so powerful when you have things like the Zac and the set kind of jumping at you. But what looks to be the Ezreal lock-in, like I mentioned, kind of helps Yumi get out of that laning phase unscathed so that she can start buffing up the carries.
You have to kind of wonder about the Kaisa ban when the Ezreal Yumi's the classic. Oh, the Cassio steal away from Foozle.
Yeah, the Cassio.
One of his preferred.
Yep. And there's the Orianna. I mean, that's Foozle's signature champion, in my opinion, is the Orianna. And I think he'll be very happy with having like such a nice combo on his team with the Zac, with the set. So I think both teams are probably very pleased with their drafts. And I don't think you can tell a clear favorite just from the draft phase.
If I were going to pick a favorite from the draft phase, I'd have to fall on the side of the Silverbacks. I think that their draft gives them more tools as the game goes on. I think that the biggest thing that's going to work against them, however, is going to be when you get to the point where you're just not quite able to damage through the Taric and through the other problems.
Mm-hmm. No, certainly. I mean, this comp would be very necessary on getting the Hecarim ahead, in my opinion. If the Hecarim is behind, they'd really, really struggle. But if they can kind of get the Hecarim going, if you have a strong jungler like the Hecarim or the Olaf or just a really strong champion, and then you get the Yumi on them, they become kind of unkillable. So it'll be interesting to see what both teams like to do early. You know that the Squirtle squad, Hove on the Zac is going to play around the mid lane. He's going to play around making sure Foozle has a good game on the Orianna. So it's going to be interesting to see if Hecarim tries to answer that or if he tries to just go elsewhere.
Yeah, the big thing that I think, and I just realized it looking again at the Silverback squad, is they have two champions that are really going to make good use out of the ornaments. I have three, really, if you consider the Cassiopeia with the Death Crown. So at least from that standpoint, their comp is going to definitely have a higher end game damage potential than I originally thought.
Yep.
And my biggest concern for the Squirtle squad now is if they're going to have enough damage as the game continues.
Yeah, they're certainly not on a team that would want to fall behind. You know, Caitlyn went ahead is so oppressive, but if Caitlyn does fall behind, she kind of just damage stops for a little while until she eventually gets all of her items. Orianna, obviously, massive damage in the late game, but if you're taking team fights early, it can be out-damaged by the Cassio.
Yeah, I just... The Squirtle squad have a great team fight comp. It's going to really be on the Silverbacks to deny the team fights until they're in a place where they can kind of take over the team fights and run the board with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be an exciting one. You know, I really think the eyes need to be on the mid lane matchup early, though. You know, both junglers are going to want to be moving around, but if the Orianna can get the early pressure, it would make the Zac's life a lot easier than if say, the Zac's laners are just kind of shoved in.
Agreed. And the one thing that we could really see here that might be the turning point is Zach has the ability to make a lot of early plays and take some more unusual jungle paths to execute that. And he's definitely stronger than the Hecarim early. And with an Ezreal Yumi not particularly putting damage out in the bot lane until they get a couple of items, and a Hecarim that is a little bit slower starting, and your top lane is Ornn, I think it's up to the Squirtle squad to take their early game damage, even if they are also a scaling team comp, and try to push it then. Because once those Trinity forces come through, it's going to be a completely different game.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, once you have multiple Trinity forces, multiple getting upgraded by the Ornn, it just becomes a lot more challenging for the enemy team. And then that's as well as by the time your Yumi is kind of scaled up. And then, I mean, really, like Yumi on Hecarim, on Cassio, on Ezreal, on any of those champions just makes them so much more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, the stacking of a Yumi ult with a Cassio ult could cause some real nightmares if you think that you've caught one of them out. Not to mention, you've got the big teamfight ults from Ornn and Ezreal also. I don't know. I think that both teams really put themselves in a good position here.
Yeah, I think it's just going to come down to execution, which is how we like it.
Yeah, the real question for me, and the one thing that I really want to see is, does the Ornn cancel the set ulti? And when?
Oh, yeah, that's definitely some skill that can be displayed there by using his W to go unstoppable to deny the set ult. It'll be interesting to track if he's able to pull that one off, as well as if the set can use his denial of his E and the ultimate to deny the Ornn from maybe getting the second part of his Ornn horn.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, that could put a bit of a wrench into the works there.
I will be interested to see. I'm surprised that Foozle's Orianna got through 5 bans. I'll say that. That's usually a champion that gets banned away from him. So I'm excited to see his performance on that. I don't actually know how many times he's gotten to play that this season, but I doubt it's very many because it's typically either a first phase ban or a second phase ban. But they're obviously aware of that on the side of the Silverbacks, so they definitely must feel that the Cassio's a good matchup for Vriv into the Orianna, and it'll be interesting to see if Foozle can maybe punish them for leaving up, his signature champion.
Yeah, I was actually, I'm with you. I was shocked that they banned the Syndra instead of the Orianna. I think that Foozle's Orianna has come through maybe once. And I know that recently he's been playing a lot more of it again in his flex games. And it's just, if there were ever a signature pick for somebody that they look absolutely dominant on, it would have to be Foozle's Orianna.
Yeah, definitely. It's always going to be a treat. But, hey, Vriv's Cassiopeia is by no means a slouch. I would argue that that's one of his signature picks as well. So I think we've really got a great matchup brewing in the mid lane.
All right, so we've looked at set Ornn. That should be a fairly even matchup, maybe a little bit in favor of the set, but the jungle is going to play a big role in how that goes. Orianna Cassio, I think, slight edge to the Orianna just because Phase Rush is such a busted rune right now. Yeah. And it'll do the one thing that you need to fancy foot around Cassio.
Yeah, I would definitely kind of say it's a skill matchup, maybe slightly leaning to that way, but definitely could go either direction. It's just gonna come down to who plays better. And the bot lane, you have Caitlyn, obviously gonna have that early priority. Didn't pair it. They hovered like a Zyra, which would be like the ultimate. We're just trying to just kind of run you over early. The Taric offers better like scaling, but still they should have the early priority down there. When you pick something like Ezreal Yumi, you're kind of conceding that early on.
Yeah, but it is interesting to me that the Taric is the pick for them, because I know that it's going to provide more later, but I feel like they're kind of missing their window to try to really abuse the Ezreal Yumi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just a confident pick for them as well, though. He's played the Taric multiple times. All right, and as we get into the load screen, we can kind of get a first look at summoner spells taken and runes taken. Interesting enough, you're noticing that Caitlyn took barrier as opposed to heal.
Even more interesting, the Hecarim is running Smite Ignite. Now, I'm not sure if that is an error and he was hoping to run Shaco or Graves,
No,
but
I bet it's not an error.
on Hecarim, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody forego the Ghost. I feel like so much damage comes off of the Ghost synergy with Hecarim passive that it's difficult not to take it. But I'll be real interested to see what happens with that.
Yeah, I mean, you have TPs on all the solo laners, makes sense. Like you mentioned, Orianna obviously goes with the Phase Rush, Cassiopeia with the Conqueror, Ezreal took Conqueror as well. Everything else looks pretty standard from what I'm seeing. I don't know. What would you say that the Phase Rush on the Hecarim is? I know there was a while where some people maybe like Conqueror. You play jungle. Would you say the Phase Rush is definitely the best pick here?
You are trolling if you take anything except Phase Rush in the current state of the champion and the meta. I feel like ever since the nerfs to both Hecarim and Conqueror, the combination of the two just doesn't really work anymore. If you wanted to be really, really cheesy, you might be able to get away with a electrocute pick. But we've got a little bit of Scooby-Doo shenanigans going on here as all of the Squirtle squad are clumping up in one bush waiting, but the Silverbacks are big braining them and just hitting the 5 point.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a smart idea by the Silverbacks. You don't want to walk into a big Taric stun or a set, obviously, early on. But it's smart of the Squirrel Squad to know their strength and at least kind of be prepared if maybe the Silverbacks had a lapse of judgment and decided to walk into the jungle.
Minions have spawned.
And as this one gets underway, just to recap for everyone just joining us, on the blue side, we have the Silverbacks with Snizbone in the top lane, Slowed in jungle, Vrivniv in mid, Huey and the Vision Lord round out the bot lane. On the other side of the rift, on the red side, we've got the Squirtle squad with Karen Franz in top, Holv in the jungle, Foozle Bamboozle mid, Ultimate Ace and Mycroft Holmes as the big anchor down in the bottom.
Yep. And as we've mentioned, this is going to be... Oh, go ahead.
I was just say it looks like pretty traditional starts on both sides. Both junglers starting on the bot and rotating towards their first camps. Hecarim looking to do more of a rush level 6 full clear, while the Zac is going to do a buff to the interior camps to buff and look for an early gank probably.
Yep, seems pretty standard, but Taric with an early stun onto the Yuumi bot lane as well as heavy trading in the top lane.
Yeah, the early trades in top lane are going to be real interesting to track because Set always looks like he loses those trades, but because of his passive regen, he's just in such a better position to continue taking them.
Yeah, I really imagine we're going to have to wait for some jungle intervention before we see any kills, but if there was going to be a place where I think you could see some solo kill action, it's probably going to be the top lane this game. I think both these players do like to fight, and I think if anyone was going to get caught with their pants down, it would be the Ornn or the Set.
Yeah, a little bit more trading going on in the bot lane as the junglers are now reaching their buff camps. The Zac just about to hit level 3 and look for a gank likely, while the Hecarim is finishing up his blue buff and looking to finish clearing. We've got the Scrying Orb coming out of Zac. Big trades going down in the top lane still. And here we have Holv looking towards the mid lane with the early gank onto Vriv. The E goes just wide, but the stretching strikes land. Holv's getting a big chunk down. Lots of damage coming out, but it's not going to be enough. Nothing burned on either side as Slowed runs up towards Karen Franz in the top lane. The Facebreaker comes out, but it's not going to be enough. He's looking to trade, but he is going to fall, and that is a successful first gank up to the top side by Slowed, helping out Snizbone to knock down Karen Franz.
Yeah, I think anyone that's watched or played against the Squirtle squad was not surprised to see Holv already putting pressure onto Foozle's lane, but a great answer by Slow to just kind of gank top lane and get the set that was just pushed a little too far up.
Oh, Slow wraps around again, trying to get the pick off onto Foozle. The Ignite comes down, and Vriv is actually going to catch the kill onto Foozle. The poison just ticking down while the Ignite from the Hecarim comes through. That's going to be another successful gank by Slowed, making use out of that Ignite.
Yeah, the Ignite obviously got a lot of value, and critically there, Fuzel did lose his Flash, so he's very vulnerable to a counter or regank. But we had a question in the chat. The 2 seed for this matchup is the Squirtle Squad, and the Silverbacks are the 3 seed. So 2 of the best teams in the Shurima division facing off here to see who will get to play in the finals.
Looks like Slowed reganking the mid lane as Fuzel's walked up just a little bit too far again, and he's got nothing to get out of here. You have to imagine he's going to fall down again, but the Orianna is just so fast and tanky. Oh, almost gets out. Friv does have to burn the Flash after burning the TP. Flash and TP down on both mid laners, but that's 2 deaths for Fuzel now, and 3 kills up for the Silverbacks.
Yeah, it's definitely not a great start for the side of the Orianna, but, you know, Cassiopeia with 2 kills is feeling very, very great right now.
Yeah, we talked about how the early pressure was going to have to go in favor of the Squirtle squad, and the Silverbacks really kind of flipping that script there with the Hecarim getting a lot done early, whereas the Zac really hasn't been able to find a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hecarim's moving down towards the bottom lane now, but he will be spotted out on that ward.
Slowed going coast to coast with his ganks here. 1 up top, 2 in the mid, now looking down towards the bot lane. But Hove is coming around mid here, looking to try to even things up, try to give Fuzel a little bit of breathing room.
Yep. I feel like Vriv should be able to sniff this one out, but he is stepping up.
There is ulti, though, on the Cassio, importantly, and Hove cancels his E, but just walks into lane, presumptively to try to deny the ulti and all-in by Vriv there.
Yeah, with only 2 points in his Elastic Slingshot, the range is not the massive engage that it'll eventually become. So I really think with Vriv hanging that far on that side of the lane, he just wasn't even able to get the engage.
And as the junglers fall back to their respective jungles to try to farm, and the rest of the lanes look like they're holding even, the Squirtle squad feeling a little bit of the pressure of the Hecarim, and the Silverbacks just knowing if they wait, that pony's on his way. The cavalry's coming.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. And they're off to a good start. You know, Cassiopeia is already stacking the tier. Hecarim's already completed his phage, you know, foregoing upgrading his jungle item to go straight into the Triforce.
Oh, we got some action in the jungle here as the pony finds the blob. And Slowed hitting that E, looks like he's going to try to run in, but backs up knowing that the set has the first move. However, now Karen Franz in a little bit of no man's land, caught in the river, does use his ulti to get out. However, the Orn Horn is going to sound, knocks him up. The clap comes down. Here is the flash out of the Orn, but a flash back out of Karen Franz, and really well played by Karen Franz to avoid the collapse of all 3.
Yeah, he did a nice job using the showstopper to create distance, allowing him to have to be able to save his flash for the escape at the very end. But a nice job by Snizbone to kind of stick on him, but it's barely couldn't get him.
Oh, Slowed looking back for the top lane as Franz goes up in the air again after TPing back in. He's in no man's land. He was too far forward. Facebreaker comes out. He's trying to run, but the Ignite comes through, and Franz goes down. This is 0-2 on both solo laners and a 2-0-2 scoreline for the Hecarim.
Yeah, and you're seeing the value out of the Ignite there. I mean, it's led to 2 good kills. You know, he took Nimbus Cloak, so it gives him that speed up, but that feels really, really bad for Karen Franz. He got out with his life, but then immediately dies after TPing back.
Oh, here comes the Zac, but frozen mid Q. The Q does go through, however, the knockup comes out, and that's going to be a huge shutdown. All of the pressure mid finally coming through, finally benefiting Fuzel, and with that gold swing, Fuzel is actually probably just about even in this.
Yep, they're almost exactly dead even in gold in the mid lane, but that was a nice ultimate by Vriv with the Cassiopeia, the Petrifying Gaze. But, you know, if Zac gets onto you with his Q to kind of drag you back, it's just so hard to get out.
And really, the gold difference, despite all of the shenanigans in the early game, only about 1,000 gold in the favor of the Silverbacks. And right now, all of that gold is on Slowed's Hecarim in the jungle. Every other lane, just about even. Ace with a slight lead over Huey, and Snizbone with a slight lead over Karen Franz.
Yeah, Fuzel's CS lead definitely helping him maintain that equal gold with his opponent, but looks like the builds that both teams are working on early on seems pretty standard. You know, Fuzel's choosing to go for the Ludens, going for that maximum damage Orianna.
a bit of a lull here as we watch both teams get back onto the map. CS really, really helping out the Squirtle squad here as they've got a positive CSD right now in all 3 lanes.
Yep.
And jungle is dead even. But Hove here has to flash out to get away from the Hecarim because he was dipping his hand a little too far into the cookie jar, trying to steal away those Raptors. He ults to try to get away, but now we've got a fight on both sides as Cassio cuts off the Orianna trying to get in. TP comes through from the Ornn, flash out of Ultimate Ace to get away from the Yuumi ult, and the Silverbacks are going to turn around and look for this dragon now that they've burned just about every flash and pushed the Squirtle squad out of the way.
Yeah, smart to kind of just go for the dragon after they knew they bullied the Zac out. Make use of teleporting your Ornn down. The Orianna did not have Shockwave at the start of that, which I think really kind of just made them have no option there but to run.
The Squirtle squad, though, realizing where they're at, backing up, just trying to get as much gold back off the map as they can, and actually shrinking the gold gap to about 400 now, despite giving up the dragon to do so.
Yep, and crucially, Caitlyn's about to finish her coal, which will be a nice little power for her. So it'll be interesting to see what Ultimate Ace is able to get on his next back.
But we've got Slowed and Snizbone starting up the Rift Herald here, and with the amount of health left on that top lane turret, Rift Herald will be first turret gold, and that could be absolutely massive if they manage to get it and drop it. Vision on it, they know the Rift Herald's going down, they realize it's here. The 3v3 might come through. They decide to turn on Vriv instead, but the Rift Herald's still following it. We've got a bit of a drawn-out moment here where they're debating what to do. And that is going to be the Rift Herald going down in the favor of the Silverbacks as Squirtle Squad decide to call off the play. They get gold even, but for how long with that Rift Herald sitting in Slowed's pocket?
Yeah, I think they could have potentially tried to go for a 3-on-3 there, but, they know they're farming, so I think they don't necessarily feel the pressure yet. Like, they must make a play. I mean, gold is 100 gold. It's basically, it's an even game at this point. So once the Rift Herald gets dropped, that gold will definitely come back.
Big
But,
beat out of Hove lands on Snizbone. The knockup comes through. The Zac ulti comes through. They set ult him backwards, and he's going to get cut down as Karen Franz kills Snizbone off of a great gank by Hove. And really, you have to imagine that they set that up by allowing that Rift Herald to go through, and that's going to be plates on top of that, which really takes away that gold swing we were concerned about with the Rift Herald going over to the Hecarim.
Yeah, that was a great showstopper by Karen Franz to push Snizbone back as he was using his E.
And it looks like possibly 3 plates for Karen Franz on top of the kill. And that's going to put the gold almost 1,000 into the Squirtle squad's favor. What a huge turn of events for them after choosing to give up both of these neutral objectives. They're just taking solo advantages across the map, working on getting that gold back in their favor.
Yeah, and as you see, Caitlyn actually has a very small bounty right now at the scoreline of 0-0-0 with about a 900 gold lead over the Ezreal.
And that is going to be the story to watch early as Slowed making his way into that bot lane with the onslaught of shadows, looking to set up the Hecarim ulti. But there is that ward that's going to show where he's at unless he makes a successful path through. Yep. Hove's here, though. They might have sniffed this out. Either that or we're going to see both teams looking for the 3v2, and it's going to be a 3v3 that neither of them saw coming.
Yeah, the crucial ability here to track is going to be Mycroft Holmes' Taric ultimate. If he can get a big one off, that will really deny the Hecarim.
And the ultimate is out of the Ezreal looking for the poke down. Slowed goes for the play, but winds up landing on a trap. And the Taric ulti comes out denying all of his damage, and he falls down to Mycroft Holmes. The TP comes through from the Cassio. Big Cassio ulti, however, and Mycroft is going to go down. And Set just got here as Karen Franz completes it, flashes forward, manages to grab the Cassio, but face breakers her away as the ulti comes through from Ultimate Ace, but it's not enough damage. The Set ulti thought he was going to get the execute, but instead all he did was save the Cassio's life.
Yeah, Set, I believe, actually used his W in the wrong direction. That looked like a little bit of a miscommunication because after getting the initial kill onto the Hecarim, it looked like some of the Squirrel Squad wanted to back away, but then once they realized Catspeed was on a trap, they thought they could try to fight it.
And Hove wrapping around looking for more here, as in the top lane, Snizbone takes down the turret. but a good dodge away by Huey. And we've got the mid lane turret being pressured by the Squirtle squad as the top lane turret is the first one to fall, going over to the Ornn. And after everything plays out, still about a status quo. Gold's still about 1,000 apart. Oh, but a huge shockwave out of Fuzel to save his own life as the Cassio tries to run him down.
Yeah, critically, the Rift Herald is about to expire on the Hecarim, so it'll be interesting to see where he looks like he might just try to drop it mid and get some damage.
Fuzel walking up, though, putting himself in a bit of a questionable situation. Flashes out as the Taric stun lands and is managing to stick around here to try to prevent this turret from going down. And Hove is charging up the E, but going to opt not to take it as the shockwave is down. They do summon up the Rift Herald.
Yeah, it should be able to just get some damage. Won't take the turret here. But they look like they might move down to the dragon.
Trying to transition their pressure into the crab and the dragon. But Ace is here with full health, getting vision. They do burn this dragon really fast. It'll be interesting to see what the Squirtle squad does. But the Squirtle squad opts to just take the fact that the Rift Herald got nothing and are going to walk out after just trying to push waves and get a little bit more pressure. They had no ability to get set there from the top lane. Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
so they recognized the 4v5, not worth the dragon.
Yeah, that was the big deal. Set TP down during the previous play, so therefore wasn't able to join that one. And we are going to actually see an Infernal Rift this game. Obviously, the Infernal Soul would be very nice on both teams. You know, Ezreal would love to have that landing with every Q. But if you can add that to a Shockwave, add that to the Zax engage, that could definitely help out the Squirtle squad as well.
But the Squirtle squad getting 2 turrets, actually, out of giving up that dragon. So Squirtle squad recognizing they got a little bit behind in the early game and now have done everything in their power. They've got a 1.5 gold lead. They are down in objectives, but you have to imagine that if they can get the 3rd dragon when it spawns, they're not going to be too upset about the way that the early game has gone.
Yeah, I think the really big fight to watch is going to be over that 3rd dragon.
Oh, Mycroft Holmes walking into a bit of trouble himself. Gets run on by the Hecarim, flashes away, but the Yuumi ulti locks him down, and he's going to go down, which really puts bot lane in a bit of a questionable situation here, knowing that the Hecarim's here with the Yuumi equipped.
Yeah, we're reaching that point of the game where the Hecarim has finished his...
Fuzel in a bit of trouble here as Slowed ults forward, but on the other side of the map, Hove jumps forward. They shut down the Ezreal. Fuzel manages to limp away, and we've got fighting going down in top lane too as Karen Franz and Snizbone are trading, but the Ornhorn comes out as Riv walks up. However, the ulti through as Franz is just trying to run away, turns around, continues to try to trade back. He's trying to get the Ornn, but the Ornn is a tanky boy, and he's not going to fall. So out of all of that, we've got 3 trades going down. The Ezreal falls and gets shut down by Ultimate Ace and Hove in the bot lane, but Franz gets collapsed on by Vriv, and now Hove and Mycroft are looking for Slowed, but when it's a jungler and support on a jungler and support, there's just not much damage anywhere.
Yeah, crucially there, Caitlyn did pick up a kill, which is big for her, and Fuzel being able to live in the mid lane was nice, but getting another kill onto your top side of the map, getting another kill onto the Hecarim initially when they caught out the Taric is huge, but we've reached the point of the game where the Hecarim's finished his Trinity Force, and the Yuumi is just going to sit on him, and he's going to move around the map as just this death ball.
I mean, of note though, the entire 1,000 gold lead right now is on the Caitlyn in the bot lane, but Fuzel gets run on by Slowed. The ulti goes just wide, and Fuzel misses the ulti and manages to get knocked down by Slowed and the Yuumi riding his back.
Yep, Vision Lord's just along for the ride right now, having a great time, no doubt. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The Hecarim is just going to be able to move out, and Fuzel was just too far up there with no vision, it looked like. And when you have the Hecarim just able to come behind you so quickly, he has to be more aware of where he is on the map.
And Fuzel being an Orianna player, you have to imagine he's got that timing on pulling people back with that ulti down pretty good. But the Yuumi just changes the Hecarim's move speed enough that it throws him off, and he misses by a very small margin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Dragon spawning in a minute 30. I do still believe that's where we're going to see the next bit of action. Yep, Rift Herald's going to despawn, so it looks like no one's going to try to get that second one, but both teams are going to start looking to prepare the dragon area.
Yeah, and critically right now, the vision control around the Rift Herald is heavily in the Squirtle squad's control, but the vision around the dragon is pretty even at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And the Squirrel Squad needs to kind of move more of that vision downward, because if they lose this next dragon, the Silverbacks will be at soul point, and that is not where they want to be. This is their moment. You've had the Caitlyn farming up. You need to let her go big in this team fight.
Agreed. And with Ornhorn comes out as they think that they've caught Ultimate Ace, the Taric ulti is going to come out, and it lands just in time to save his life. Ezreal ulti goes wide, and the whole team's here now. The Orianna ult comes in. Big shutdown. Another big shutdown by Fuzel onto Snizbone as Vriv ultis to try to run away, but Karen Franz flashes forward, and he's on the chase still. But once again, ultis the Cassio. However, this time, the Cassio's going to fall. On the backside, Hove jumps forward with the E, and the stun off of the Taric perfectly lined up with the Zac E. They get the stun onto Huey. The Ezreal's going to fall. What a massive fight from the Squirtle squad as they get in place for the objective just that 10 seconds earlier than the Silverbacks. And so the Silverbacks walk in, think that they can make a play, and they're just dead wrong.
Yeah, you saw the power of Taric's Cosmic Radiance there, keeping the Caitlyn alive. Because without that, she would have been one shot at the very start of that. That was so big. And then the shockwave was massive. But, face checking the Orianna.
That fight giving the first dragon over to the Squirtle squad and pushing them a full 3,000 gold into the lead, gaining 2,000 gold and a dragon off of that. As Slode finds Ultimate Ace, runs forward onto him. Ace flashes out. He's turning back a lot of damage, and Slode ultimately has to just concede the fact that that is a big Caitlyn, and he is not able to take that down without his ultimate up.
Yeah, that one was pretty well played by Ultimate Ace to get out of there with his life. He didn't panic when the Ignite came down. He, used his trap and used his flash to gain distance. But, I think that this whole game right there just kind of shows, the Squirrel Squad knew what their moment was going to be. They knew it was. They didn't try to risk it all fighting for that second dragon or risk it all fighting for an early dragon or that Rift Herald fight. They bided their time. They farmed up, and then they took their team fight when they felt confident.
And it really shows, and that's been one of the Squirtle Squad's biggest assets all season long, is the fact that they really well identify their windows and their power spikes to fight. They rarely are caught taking a 5v5 when they aren't in a decent position. However, they're going on the Taric here, but Snizbone's the only one able to get there as the rest of the team gets caught off by a wall and can't walk up through the Caitlyn damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And although the gold leads reached about 3,000, the Silverbacks are definitely not out of this one. You have such great scaling with the Ornn, with the Cassio, with the Ezreal, with the Hecarim and the Yuumi, but they're going to have to pick smarter fights than the last time. They're going to have to be smart about when they're engaging. They might have to bait the Taric ultimate out. They need to have all members arrived, because Vriv hit a very nice Cassiopeia ultimate at the end there, but it was just too late.
And we're starting to see why Ultimate Ace favors this Caitlyn so strongly, as he is a full 2,000 gold up on the Ezreal at this point in time, really holding almost all of the gold difference between the two teams and putting in absolute work. Currently 303 with a 500 gold shutdown.
Yeah, he's completed his 2 items, working on, a lot of options here.
Oh, and the Zac E's forward again. Matching up with the Taric stun, but it doesn't quite connect in time that time. The layering doesn't go down. Caitlyn ultis for more damage, but the Hecarim at this point is big enough that he's not going to blow up quite that easily. He's got the Joram's Fist coming through, looking for a bit of the earlier tanky build, probably opting into a Sterax instead of a Death's Dance second.
Yeah, both mid laners went for the Leandri second. I think that's pretty intelligent. Ezreal's close to having his Manamune stacked up. That's when he'll really start to come online. Ornn is currently level 12. We need to be tracking. Next level, he'll get to upgrade his own 2 items, and then thereafter, he'll get to start upgrading the other members' items. But he'll probably, crucially, Ezreal actually chose to go for the Iceborne Gauntlet, so he won't have the Trinity Force upgrade this time. But the Hecarim certainly will.
And also, kind of a big concern right now, if you're the Squirtle Squad, Caitlyn is the only person with an Executioner's at the moment. And so if that Yuumi is on somebody not being hit by Caitlyn, you could have a bit of trouble, as it's likely that the Orianna is going to need to pick up a Morelos at some point in time.
Yeah, you could have argued that Oriana should have went for the Morelos second. I would say generally you want to either go for Morelos or Leandri's second, because right now he probably will want to be moving into his death cap.
And you have to wonder if the sheer damage is going to outweigh the need. Oh, as Slow gets walked on trying to take his red buff in the jungle here, and Ace is able to clear it away with a massive Q that deals almost 800 damage to the camp. Sloan walks up looking for a little bit more trouble as they clear away the pink ward, but Hove is there and jumps forward, denying the engage as the Taric ulti comes out to deny the Yuumi from killing anybody. Double TP coming in from the Silverbacks as the Ornhorn comes out, but the Orianna ulti blows up Vriv as the Cassio just falls down. Fuzel kills Sloan also with the ball in the back line as he tries to get onto the Caitlyn, but the Ezreal is able to kill the Caitlyn. Finally, TP coming through from the set as Karen Franz joins the party. Big ulti down onto Snizbone, who was trying to run away, but he's not able to run away. The set finally gets there, and that was a huge fight by the Squirtle squad, causing real damage to the Silverbacks' future in this game.
Yeah, that was massive by Hove at the end there. I don't know if you saw it. He predicted the Ezreal's E with the elastic slingshot.
I definitely missed that, but we're going to have to go back and look for that to clip it for a highlight later, because that is a clutch play, as it looked like they might have been in a little bit of trouble. The Squirtle squad getting caught out by the Yuumi ulti and forcing the Taric ulti to prevent them from getting engaged on. But as both mid laners get there, the Cassio walks on top of the Orianna ball, presumably looking for the fight, and just gets deleted before anything else can happen.
Yeah, they did a nice job by getting the ult. Oh, looking for set.
But the Bork passive comes, or the Bork active comes through, and that is a going nowhere. As Hove tries to land his E onto the Scuttle Crab, but Karen Franz cheekily autos it to take it away.
Yeah, they did a nice job in that team fight of getting the Taric ultimate out early, but what happened there was Vriv teleported in just a little bit too far up, and it just allowed him, the second his teleport completed, to get, I believe, Caitlyn trapped and shockwaved.
And that's just really got to hurt, as that should have been a good fight for the Silverbacks with the set unable to join until the fight was already almost done. It was really a 5v4 for a good chunk of time, but with as quickly as the Cassio was deleted, it was a 4v4 before anybody could even notice what happened.
Yeah, with the Ezreal being behind the Caitlyn, you really need the Cassiopeia alive and pumping out damage. You know, Fuzel has the massive shockwave, but outside of that, the Cassio's going to be pumping out way more consistent DPS, but they need her to stay alive.
And this is what we worry about with the Orianna coming out of Fuzel and why it's banned against him so frequently. He started this game 1-3. He is now 3-3-6 and just churning out massive damage, while the Cassio, who started 2-0, is now 2-3-3, unable to contribute to the team fights while being zoned out by the Orianna ults.
Yeah, and as Orianna is working towards the death cap third, once that completes, it might be able to just one shot and it's on its own. But also it looks like Karen Franz is working on the Death's Dance for the set. We've seen the Ornn upgrades come through for Ornn himself, but looking.
Oh, Hove misses the E, lands the Q. The E goes wide from Taric, and Snizbone, however, on the backside, taking a little bit of damage. Flash forward from the Cassio, but it doesn't stun anybody as the whole team turns away. The combination of ults and E's don't go in the favor of the Squirtle squad, as huge damage coming out manages to shut down Mycroft Holmes before he can get anything off, and Fuzel falls also, but Ace manages to get the trade back onto Vriv right as he comes through. Flash forward from Karen Franz and a huge face breaker. Snizbone might go down as the stretching strikes connect. The W Unstable Matter comes through. However, this is a very squishy Zac against a Ezreal, and that's not going to go. Oh, but he does come back up. The stretching strikes come through. Never mind. Shut me up. Hove manages to
with the mastery
emote after dying and somehow shut down the Ezreal as he once again ease forward, and just him able to connect that aftershock prevents the Ezreal from doing enough damage. The Aftershock came off of cooldown while he was in blob form. And a huge set ulti from Karen Franz really saved a fight that looked like it was pretty doomed after a really good pick by the Silverbacks.
Yeah, that was a massive fight at the first year. The Taric ultimate got almost no value that time. You picked off the Orianna really well, but as Ultimate Ace was dying, he was able to get just enough damage off to finish the Cassio as Karen Franz came in. And at the very end there, we all saw the Zac just doing Zac things. It feels bad to be an ADC in 2020, I guess, but big fight from both sides.
Of note, because of the way that play occurred, Zac still has not died in this game, making good usage of those Zac bloblets to stay immortal.
Yeah, definitely. And you're starting to see Ornn upgrades come through for the Ornn's teammates. He upgraded the Ezreal's Blade of the Ruin King. I would honestly have liked to see the Trinity Force get upgraded on the Hecarim. Hopefully that one comes through next.
Yeah, you have to imagine that they did a bit of a value bet there and decided that it was better to get the extra damage down elsewhere. And Cassio, with a little bit of a different build, not going for the death cap early enough to be in the conversation of Ornn upgrades. So you have to imagine that there's no other thing worth upgrading with the exception of the Trinity Force on Hecarim for the second round. But a Knight's Vow on the Ornn, really looking to index towards keeping this Ezreal alive in the late game fights. They seem to have decided that the Ezreal is their win condition moving forward.
Yeah, the Ezreal's still 2,000 gold behind the Caitlyn, but he's not weak anymore. He could definitely pump out the damage, so I don't think that's a bad call by any means.
Big E comes through by Hove, but Squirtle Squad opts to walk it back out as the Ezreal ulti comes through looking for some damage, but just nicks the set. And both teams hovering around this Infernal Drake, whoever gets it will be on Soul Point. But you have to wonder if the Squirtle Squad isn't more interested in the team fight than the Dragon.
Yeah, the zoning power of Caitlyn and Orianna Ball is really being displayed right now.
Huge chunk coming down. The huge ultimate comes out of Fuzel, but Karen Franz unable to continue going forward as the Taric ulti comes out. The set jumps into the backline. He can't die, however. And while he's unkillable, Slowed falls down. Friv manages to pick him up, but on the backside, you've got Ezreal falling down to the Orianna. The Caitlyn kills the Ornn, and Cassio's trying to run away. And with the ability of the Yuumi to speed her up, they do manage to get out, but that is the top lane set going down for both the top laner and the ADC as well as the jungle. And they're going back forward as Mycroft Holmes flashes forward to try to do damage, but the Caitlyn's grounded. Doesn't matter. The crits are just too big. She stands in the Cassiopeia miasma and just... That is a dead snake.
Yeah, with a 7k gold lead now, one dragon away from Soul, Squirtle Squad is firmly in control of this game. And you just have to wonder, like, that shockwave was so big to start that off. You have to wonder, you know, if you're going to... Because they did a good job. Like you said, Fuzel was 0-2. But when you're 0-2 on your best champion, or one of your best champions, oftentimes you're not feeling that bad. So you have to wonder if giving the Orianna at this point, I would have to say, is probably a mistake.
I think that you have to really take a hard look at your draft plan if you're the Silverbacks. And at this point, you're still going to try to fight this one out. It's a 7,000 gold gap. It's not the end of the world. But you're running out of ways to try to make it up. And even with all four of the ornaments that are currently on as the Trinity Force has been upgraded, you still have to imagine it's somewhere in the realm of 4,000 gold gap. As Karen Franz looking to trade with Snizbone up in the top lane again, but getting pinged off as the rest of his team is telling him that the Silverbacks are looking for him and on their way.
Yep.
But anyway, like I was saying, you're going to have to take a big step back if you're the Silverbacks and assess the way that you prioritize your draft, because the Orianna looked a little exploitable early, but you're having major trouble with it ever since. The Caitlyn, which is known to be an Ultimate Ace special, has absolutely demolished your team. Caitlyn is currently sitting 2,000 gold up on the Ezreal, and 1,500 gold up on anybody else from their team, as Karen Franz runs forward and gets an E down onto the Cassio, but on the other side, Fuzel is caught out of position by the Ezreal and the Hecarim. But there's still four in the top lane. They do manage to knock down the Cassio as the Taric ulti comes out. So it's going to be both mid laners falling down with a bit of a questionable positioning out of them. But the Ornn's going to walk forward, and an absolutely massive Caitlyn just is cutting him down.
Hecker's behind.
As Hecarim gets behind, but Ultimate Ace goes over the wall. Walks back forward though, and now Ultimate Ace, after thinking that he was in a position to reflank, just gets deleted by the Ezreal 100-0 in a short rotation. And now the Silverbacks are looking for the chase. They taste blood as Mycroft was turning around trying to make sure that Hove's going to get out and be a distraction while Karen Franz is chasing Slowed, but the Yuumi has now jumped onto Slowed, and that's going to be the set falling also. He does manage to take the Hecarim down critically before falling, which is going to mean that they can't turn this into a Baron because only the Ezreal Yuumi remain. And with Hove managing to survive, it's a bit of an int if they try. But
yeah,
that fight, holy cow.
Yeah, big fight. But critically, they did actually finish off the Hecarim. But once the Caitlyn went down, and you mentioned this about 15 minutes ago, no one else on that team has any grievous wounds. You can't stop the Yuumi at that point if the Caitlyn's not applying the executioners. And two critical mispositions by the carries on the side of the Squirtle squad. They can't afford to do that again.
I mean, both mid laners misposition with Fuzel getting caught in the jungle in an odd spot by the Hecarim and the Ezreal, presumably trying to catch the Ezreal on rotation. And Vriv walking up a little too far on the Cassio, getting engaged on by 4 members of the Squirtle squad, starting off that really bizarre fight. Yep. But you bring up that really good point. Somebody else needs to get healing reduction, whether it's a Bramble Vest or an Executioner's. Set has the option to get either. The Zac would really, really benefit from a Thornmail at this point, considering that he mostly is fighting an Ezreal who has a Bork and a Death Stance. So
yeah, no, definitely very critical. But as the big thing to watch now is we're a minute away from the dragon spawning, and if the Squirrel squad manages to grab this, you'd have to think with their gold lead and with an Infernal Soul adding damage that might be the nail in the coffin.
And I do agree with you. A game that seemed like it was all but over a moment ago has the Squirtle squad in a little bit of trouble as their late game mistakes are starting to show a little bit right now. And Karen Franz backing up in the top lane, but the Ornn walking down is going to be there first. Important to note, however, that TP is up on all 4 players with TP. And the only notable summoners down right now are the Flash about to come back up on Mycroft, and the Flashes of Karen Franz and Ultimate Ace are down on one side. On the other side, however, the Cassio and the Ornn Flash is down, and Hecarim without any significant movement summoner to reposition means that the Ezreal is the only member of the Silverbacks with any significant additional mobility at the moment.
Yeah, both the Caitlyn and the Cassiopeia are going to have to very carefully position in this fight without Flash.
Oh, Ezreal ulti fires out, looking for some chunk damage, but it doesn't get it. However, a Q does land on Fuzel. And right now, the Squirtle squad looking for a bit of a pincher play as Karen Franz on the backline. The Taric ulti comes out, and they're going to run forward, but the stun does come down. A bit of a backwards fight as the Hecarim ults into the backline, pushing Ace forward, but Hecarim's going to fall for it. And with the set ulti pushing everybody back forward, they're on the Ezreal. The Ezreal falls down. Caitlyn managed to back up and is still alive, soloing the dragon in the back of the fight as Karen Franz and Hove chase down Snizbone, cutting him down. Vriv's still alive on the Cassio, but with 3 tanks and an Orianna chasing, Cassio just doesn't do enough damage to cut him down. Hove trying to predict, but shorts it just a little bit. However, Ultimate Ace solos the dragon on the back end. That's Soul. And Squirtle Squad is now walking over to try to take a Baron that they have 20 seconds before the 3 dead members of the Silverbacks are up. And the Cassio was just laughed at walking away. There's no way that the Cassio can come up and contest this. The Squirtle Squad about to take Soul and Baron off of that one huge fight. Started by a little bit of a questionable re-engage by the Hecarim into the backline. They almost managed to pick the Ashe off, but the Ashe survives with about 25% health, and that's just the fight from there. If they can't kill that Ashe, nothing else goes well for them.
Yeah, the Caitlyn there, you mean. Yeah, the fear by the Hecarim was massive. Caitlyn had no flash. Caitlyn got pushed towards the enemy team, but the Cassiopeia and the Ezreal just had too much in their face that they weren't actually able to follow up damage and finish the Caitlyn off.
Yeah, I'm great with champion names. We've played together enough that you know that I friggin' call Cassid and Cassiopeia when they aren't even in the same game. So we're doing well here.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're definitely doing well, but with this Baron buff, they should definitely be looking to crack open the base.
Of interest now. Oh, huge E lands down. The Cassio flashes, but the stretching strikes still connect as the Ash Arrow comes through, and Vrivs manages to get the Petrifying Gaze off to slow things down. But even though the Ornn TP's in, another stretching strike lands, predicting the Ezreal E. Snizbone in the backline trying to slow things down, but this is the swan song for the Silverbacks. They're going to fall in this one as only the Yumi's left alive. She falls on to Zac under the turret. Squirtle Squad's going to run down. They took both major buffs, and you have to look at this game and wonder what could have been as the Silverbacks get off to a little bit of an early lead, but they trip and fall trying to extend it in the mid-game there. And Squirtle Squad, smelling blood in the water, really step on the gas, only making one critical error after that. And that critical error almost cost them, but it wasn't the end of the game.
No, it wasn't. And Squirtle Squads now go up 1-0 in the series. They're one win away from going on to the finals. But the Silverbacks, it wasn't a complete stomp. That like you said, they had the early lead. And if they can do that, repeat that lead, but not stumble in the mid game, you can very clearly see how they could come off with a win.
110%. This game was really, really close. And I think that I'm going to throw it to you first and try to find what you think went well for both teams and who you think the ace and MVP are. But I think that if you're the Silverbacks as a team, you have to reevaluate how you want to play the game and commit to one or the other approach.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to look. The bright spot for the Silverbacks in their loss was the Hecarim's movement early game. He got his lanes off to great starts, as well as the. I did think the Ezreal and the Yuumi had good moments in the later game, but if I had to pick like an ace for the losing team, it's definitely the Hecarim's early game. So whether or not they go back to Hecarim, they definitely should go back to something that allows Slowed to influence the game early. If I had to pick an ace that game, I think it has to go to the Zac. I mean, there's so many great. I mean, really, the whole team played really, really well. But I thought Hove on the Zac just showed his proficiency on that champion. He had multiple great predictions. He won that big 1v1 at the end of the one fight, stayed deathless in the game, and just him being on top of the Ezreal or the Cassio in those crucial late game fights allowed the Caitlyn to be able to manage just the Hecarim or just the Hecarim and Yuumi.
Well, I love all the jungle love you're throwing here because you're normally a jungle trap person. I do agree with you on the ace. I think that Slowed really set the pace for the early game until the whole game got slowed down a bit and it didn't work in his favor. The big problem that I do think that he had was the fact that he wasn't able to successfully extend that lead bot. And as the game extended, you could tell that bot was where they were planning to get their carry potential from.
Yep.
And I think that if you know that you're looking towards the Ezreal to be your carry for the game, that needs to be where you're focusing. Mm-hmm. And so while he did a good job of setting both of the solo lanes behind for the Squirtle Squad, both solo laners from the Squirtle Squad rebounded. Yeah. I mean, they both started off absolutely smacked in lane, and they finished with the second and third most gold in the game. And honestly, my MVP has got to be Karen Franz. I think that he got battered in the early game, but in the late game, he's the one who came through, and he actually is the one that saved multiple team fights that almost went bad. Engages would go bad, and the set would show up late, ulti the Ornn into the entire fight, and change the dynamic of everything. So while he had he had a bit of questionable things, we are going to go to a commercial now as we get ready for the next game. And we're back. I am Cage the Cage Reaper here with Brewer to watch Karen Franz drag his bag of 4 bodies team across another finish line.
Oh. Hey, I think we're going to be back for another great game. You know, Squirrel Squad looked pretty dominant at the end of that game, but as we mentioned, the Silverbacks started off with a nice early game. And, you know, last week, the Silverbacks fell down to 0-1 in their quarterfinal match before bouncing back with 2 nice wins. So they've definitely been here before, and we know that they have what it takes to come back and win. I'm interested to see what they identify as the things that might need to change. You know, teams have flipped here. The blue side is now with the Squirtle Squad, so Silverbacks could potentially go for last pick mid this time. But, you know, you have to wonder because, you know, they went for the first pick Ornn, or just the blind pick Ornn even, but the set looked like a really good answer. So you have to wonder, are you confident enough to do that again? You're probably not confident enough to leave open the Orianna, but if you are, do you want to run the Cassio again? Do you want a different matchup? Are you going to leave the Caitlyn up again? You know, it's very interesting to see what they decide they need to change. But as we get into the draft, Graves once again banned away.
There's the Caitlyn gone. They don't want to see that again.
Yep. I'm not surprised at all. The Caitlyn looked absolutely dominating.
So a complete change of tact by the Silverbacks as they have not yet banned any of the champions they banned in the first game.
Yeah, well, the Squirrel Squad banning away the Hecarim this time leaves the Ashe open, and that makes me wonder if they're going to first pick that for Ultimate Ace or if they're fine with giving that over to Huey.
I think that their thought process is without the Lulu, the Ashe is less threatening.
Potentially. But, you know, even in their victory, they say, you know, the Hecarim got them off to a good start. Their mid laner definitely wasn't feeling good after getting ganked early by the Hecarim, so they do decide to ban that one away.
But they do think the Diana is still potentially a bigger problem than the Orianna, trusting themselves to handle the Orianna if it should come down the pipe again. And interesting to see the world's meta taking a little bit of effect on our Seal meta here as both teams choose the red side, which is a dramatic change in approach from the past of just about every series that we've seen. Amo put out a spreadsheet documenting it, and I think there were only 2 teams that really ever chose red side prior to the last couple of weeks.
Yep, they do grab the Zac again. You know, obviously the Zac was my MVP for the first game, so not surprising at all to see them grab that again. But Snizbone gets his Scion. I have been at the hands of this pick. He is a very proficient Scion, and not surprised at all to say, you know, the Ornn was fine, but you know, maybe feeling more confident on the Scion.
I am a little bit surprised to see them take the Scion. I think that both games here, they're dropping down Snizbone's pool into like his second, third champions, even with his Gnar up. And the Scion, I mean, yeah, we both suffered at the hands of that Scion pretty significantly. It is something that Snizbone is absolutely destructive on, but I still would have thought that they might have thought the Ornn was a better pick. It might just be that they think Scion will do better into the set if that is what the Squirtle Squad choose to answer with, and it looks like that might be their plan.
I mean, you could say that, but honestly, I don't know. I think the set's very happy once again. I mean, it's just a big tank that he can work against. But the Lucian critically is a flex pick potentially. You know, obviously won't be going top with the Scion unless some shenanigans happen, but mid or bot lane, the Lucian could potentially get flexed to.
And Squirtle Squad just trolling with their hovers at this point.
I would like to see them just kind of grab a power pick here though, but
okay, Mycroft Holmes on the Thresh.
Yep, the Thresh was banned away in the second phase last time, so making sure they get that this time around. But, you know, the one thing we mentioned that the Orianna wasn't banned, I could see that potentially being if they leave it up in the second phases is saying, you know, if we have last pick, we're not as scared. You know, Vriv has a lot of pocket picks, and, you know, he might just be saying, you know, I just won't pick Cassiopeia into it. I'll just grab something else. I have a counter pick if you blind pick it into me.
And it looks like we're getting the Jarvan from Slowed. This is a champion that really hasn't looked that good in the meta or the game overall, but in Slowed's hands, it's been really, really effective. And I have to wonder if some of that is the fact that their bot lane is normally such a strong factor in their team, and Jarvan just is an excellent champion for messing up enemy bot lanes.
Yep. And the Oriana ban does actually come through. And yeah, critically, Slowed got off to such a great early game. Jarvan can do that even better than the Hecarim can. If you thought getting camped by a Hecarim was unfortunate, wait till the Jarvan just starts coming in circles around your lane. But they banned the Oriana, and now I'm going to be really interested to see what does Fusel consider potentially blind picking here.
Yeah, well, first we're going to have to see what the Silverbacks want to blind pick on that 4 spot. They do decide to ban the Ashe themselves this time, pretty much indicating that without the Lulu, they don't think the Ashe is that strong of a pick.
Also indicating to me that it's potentially going to actually be a Lucian bot lane by banning away the Ashe. Because I think if it was going to be Lucian mid, they might have wanted to even steal away the Ashe.
That's a good point. But we do know that Huey obviously has flexed things. The Squirtle squad banning the Ezreal.
Yeah, they were not convinced. Yep.
Yeah, they still think that it might be a Lucian mid. And they're forcing the Silverbacks to kind of show their hand here.
Not necessarily, but
the brand actually comes through.
Yeah, what I would like to point out here is by picking the brand, you allow either the Lucian to be mid or for Vribnev to pick another AD mid laner. And he has a great Zed as well as I believe he plays a few other AD mid laners as well. So that opens him up.
The Akali hover here, but the Victor locked in ultimately. Yep. This could be a really, really rough lane for Fusel in the early going. I feel like Fusel is accepting the fact that he's going to get hard camped, and his goal is just to be on a champion where even if he gets 0-3'd in the first 10 minutes, he can come back online as the game progresses.
Yeah. Fusel loves his control mages, and he's had great performances on the Victor, but they round out with the Jinx, another great ultimate ace pick.
Yeah, the Squirtle squad here really looking at this game and saying, all right, well, we're in trouble early. We're going to need ways to cut through these tanks. But the Echo locked in.
Rounded out with the Echo. That's a great counter into the Victor, especially when you have the potential for the Jarvan to gank the Victor early. If the Jarvan camps the Victor, a 2-0 Victor or 2-0 Echo, is a lot scarier, in my opinion, than the 2-0 Cassio from last game. And if the Echo can get ahead, he can start moving around to the side lanes. Victor won't be able to match the Echo into the side lane later game if the Echo gets ahead.
I think that the Silverbacks did a really good job with their draft this time around, recognizing that their strength comes through their early game, and that seems to be where the Squirtle squad was the most exploitable. Mm-hmm. And so the Silverbacks really doubling down on the fact that they want to win this game before 30 minutes.
Yeah, when you have the Lucian and the brand against a Jinx and against a Victor, I mean, with a Jarvan, the early game 100% should be in the favor of the Silverbacks, but it should take even longer now for the Swirl squad to have an option to fight back. They waited for their Caitlyn to get 2 items and then take that big fight around the 3rd dragon, but Jinx is not the same powerhouse that a Caitlyn is at that point of the game, nor is a Victor.
Yeah, I think that the Squirtle squad put themselves in a little bit of a sticky situation here where last time they were comfortable waiting out the first Rift Herald and both dragons because they knew their champions came online around 2 items, item and a half. This time, their champions don't really come online until 2nd, maybe 3rd item. And so they're going to need to make either a really good play from a bad position to get an early dragon, or Hove is going to have to pull some suicide heroics on the Zac to steal a dragon. Mm-hmm. Because if the Silverbacks play this right, they could be on Soul Point at 18 minutes.
Yep.
And the Squirtle squad's going to have to then contest into a team that's ahead of them in tempo from 22 minutes onward every time that they have to deny a Dragon Soul.
Yep. No, definitely. And I think that's maybe the risk they drafted that. I'm sure after last game they felt, we can scale against these guys. They went for even more scaling this time, but they're definitely confident in their ability to do it. And the set is your option of power early game. So if they can move, but as we saw last game, the set was picked off for First Blood and then was picked off again really early on. But maybe Zac can recognize that and try to turn that around this time. Because if you can actually get your set going very strong, then that could allow the bottom half of the map to scale.
Yeah, so the really interesting thing to see this game is with Fusel on a champion that really doesn't benefit from the jungle attention in the same way that the Orianna would, where Holv is going to spend his time. Because his mid side of his mid lane is weak early. So a lot of Holv's shenanigans, like walking in and stealing Raptors, are really dangerous if Victor's his mid laner.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see how he manages to move his priority around the map,
Yep.
knowing that he can't really count on his mid lane to back him up.
Yeah, as well as the fact that he was able to still pick on the Casio. It's going to be a lot harder to land an effective gank onto the Echo. With Echo's dash, with his W to peel himself, it's going to be a lot harder for Zach to really even do anything against the Echo.
Yeah, so if I'm looking at the Squirtle Squad's team and I'm looking to make a play, I feel like he has to make the plays towards bot lane. I know that the set really came through big last time, but I don't see you cutting through a Scion successfully. And Illusion Brand is going to be very vulnerable to ganks. Plus, if it misfires, you do have the Thresh Lantern to get yourself out if you E a little too far in.
That is true. That's a good point. While definitely the Jinx is going to be out damaged early on by the Lucian and the Brand, the Thresh can still set up good ganks.
And if you can dodge the stun from the Brand, I think the damage and the CC from the Zac and the Thresh should be enough to turn those fights, especially if they engage onto the Brand, who's not mobile at all and is very squishy early on.
Yep. Vision Lord will have to definitely be watching his positioning early on. Mycroft Holmes will have the opportunity to make good on the pick. I mean, I want to see, why did the Silverbacks ban it from him in that first game? They wanted it so bad that they went ahead and grabbed it in the first rotation this time. So, that obviously signals confidence on the pick, confidence on the champion saying, I want this. You're not just going to ban it away from me again. And I want to actually see him then show us why it's worth grabbing in the first rotation.
I agree. My biggest question mark about the draft for the Silverbacks is, if they were going to pick the Echo, why did they pick the Brand? I feel like with the way that their team is, they would have benefited heavily from a Leona or something of the sort. The only reason I can see to have picked the Brand is if they were originally thinking about playing Zed or one of Vriv's other AD assassins and opted into the Echo at the last minute.
No, I think that's 100% the reason. I think that has to be it. Echo's a great counter to the Victor, whereas, if Fuzel had went for, I don't know, like a blind pick Syndra or something like that, Echo still would have been good, but it might have been he was more confident going for his Zed, because, I'm sure Vriv plays a nice Echo, but when I think of his assassin pick, I definitely think of his Zed. But, obviously in this situation, they ended up deciding, the Echo is the better pick, which I would agree with. But grabbing the Brand early just gave them that opportunity.
I mean, of course you agree with that, you Echo one trick.
I don't know about one trick, but I do like playing Echo. I'll admit that. But yeah, no, it's gonna be very interesting to see how well Vriv can punish Fuzel's Victor. And once Fuzel completes his first Hex Core at a little bit over 1,000 gold, he'll be able to compete with the Echo's wave clear. But prior to that point, the Echo should have the better wave clear. And I want to see the Echo trying to shove in the Victor and then moving around the map with the Jarvan, maybe invade onto the Zac, look for a 4-man gank bot, look for a 3-man play top. Like, I don't want Echo just to be sitting in this lane.
Yeah, a lot of times when you see an assassin in the mid lane, you think that it's really early pressure. Echo is a little slower to turn on than some assassins, but with a Jarvan next to him, he should be able to move around pretty freely. And I would like to see Slowed and Vriv on the Echo really punishing Holv for everything he tries to do inside his own jungle, as well as making plays, trying to force their advantage and their ability to move and out pressure across the map.
Yeah, Echo's an interesting champion. Like you mentioned, compared to a lot of assassins, he's not generally going to be solo killing you early on unless you really mess up. But he really turns on once he gets his Proto Belt, once he gets his Lich Bane, and then he becomes a monster in the side lane that very few other champions can answer, and the Victor shouldn't be able to. But as we look at what each champion took for their summoners and for their runes, we once again see Ultimate Ace going for the barrier. And I have to wonder if that's, maybe just his personal preference as opposed to the heal, but everything else is looking pretty standard. Oh, actually, something to note, Victor went for Electrocute over Phase Rush. As someone that plays Victor and plays Echo, generally I like the Phase Rush on the Victor, but what this indicates to me is he is actually going to attempt to bully the Echo early, which is a potential weakness of the Echo pick. If Victor wants to go super aggressive with the Q, with the E, he can trade damage onto the Echo, but at the same time, if he's trying to do that, he's just going to be opening himself up to the Jarvan ganks.
Agreed. I think that, well, first off, as we load onto the Rift, for those of you just joining us, we are getting into Game 2 of the Shurima semifinals between the Squirtle squad and the Silverbacks. The Squirtle squad took Game 1 in a contentious, highly bloody match, and we're looking for a bit of a reboot of that, as both junglers, once again, looking like they're opting to start on the bot side of the map. We do have Snizzbone in the top lane, Slowed in the jungle, Vriv in the mid lane, Huey and Vision Lord in the bot lane for the Silverbacks. And for the Squirtle squad, we've got Karen Franz piloting the set in top lane, Holv in the jungle, Foozle Bamboozle in mid, and Ultimate Ace and Mycroft Holmes round out the Squirtle squad.
Yep, both junglers starting on the bot side.
And with the path that you're going to likely see out of both junglers, it makes you wonder if there's going to be an early play around mid lane by Slowed, or if the junglers are going to kind of handshake on their clear and look towards making a play in top lane.
I don't know if that's what you might think it's too predictable to go for it this game. I mean, everyone can kind of predict the power of the level 2 Jarvan gank, and Foozle's playing far enough back to kind of not make that an opportunity. But Vriv gets a pretty nice trade onto Foozle there, but you're seeing the power of the Electrocute to trade back a little bit before the Corrupting Potion came through.
Yep, and it looks like an early Jarvan gank's going top, because Holv actually taking a bit of a backwards path, doing exactly what we talked about, looking towards making a play bot potentially, or just taking an odd path. Great stun cancel by Karen Franz to try to deny the knockup. He does manage to deny the knockup, flashes the Jarvan, turns around a little cheeky, but manages to survive the gank, and it does cost him his flash, but
yep.
And most of his life.
It was a nice sidestep of the Jarvan EQ, but without having flash, he's so vulnerable to a regank. But Jarvan's actually invading on the Zac here.
And really making a wise play, just dropping the vision, but he is now looking to try to steal away this blue. He does turn around and engage onto Holv, however. With the shield going down, this is going to be a stretching strikes land, the stun lands, the E lands, some healing coming down, smite for health by Holv. And Karen Franz fighting Snizzbone on the other side, though, as the Scion in a little bit of trouble as the mid laners come over and join. And now we're starting to see exactly what we talked about. Victor is not a champion early in the game. And the Echo, in addition to bullying him in lane, is able to follow the Jarvan over the wall to steal away the buff from Zac. So Holv's now left really trying to pick up the pieces of his jungle.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing the Zac can do there. If the Victor and the Echo came over and committed harder, it would have just been absolutely devastating for the Squirrel squad, because there's no way they can even attempt to win that. So great use and understanding of the champion's strength, but...
Oh, and Slowed absolutely just bullying. Oh, but the Gromp does reset. However, that does delay the reset from Holv. It screws up his first clear even further. And the Jarvan really flexing on the Zac right now, putting him in a really rough situation, setting him behind pretty far, and likely able to double crab as well with the pressure coming out of his bot lane.
Yep. Yep. And critically, another thing to note about that whole exchange was the Silverbacks knew where Zac was that entire time, which let their bottom lane, the Lucian and the Brand, just play with no worry. They could just play with the utmost aggression.
Bank off of Holv as he eased forward. The flash from Echo is down, presumably in the earlier fight. He does try to get the convergence off, but Foozle walks forward, and the laser is his death. So after all of the talk, after all of the posturing, we thought the Echo was going to be in the position of power, but he manages to walk forward a little bit too far, burned his flash aggressively in the jungle earlier, and gets punished by the Zac and the Victor.
The Echo losing his flash early game really hurt him there because that just allowed the Zac gank to come through, and that showed like the electrocute added enough damage to allow that. And Victor with first blood, you don't usually want to see that, but that's great if you are the Victor right now.
Slowed, however, taking a bit of a slower, more circuitous route through the jungle as he blast cones over. Hove is on this crab, but gives it up, recognizing that the bot lane can move first as Echo starts to walk over, trying to get a little revenge. And in the top lane, Karen Franz continuing to bully this Scion as he hits level 6 first and has the TP advantage, although the flash is still in advantage of Snizbone after the early gank top.
Yeah, critically, Victor's gotten his first upgrade on his Hex Core right now, which allows his wave clear to match that of the Echoes.
But as Fuzel walks up a little bit, feeling confident, recognizing that he has the level 6 advantage, he does drop the level 6. Vriv, going in for a little bit of a chunk, has level 6 himself. As Slowed has showed up here, they might be looking to make a play, but they decide that the damage just isn't worth it. However, that does cause Fuzel his ultimate, and really, at this point, even though he got the early kill on the Echo, there's not a whole lot he can do. Hook goes wide in the bot lane as Hove shows up trying to make a play down bot, release a little bit of the pressure down there, put on by the Lucian and the Brand, but nothing will come of it. And the game really is kind of in this status quo sparring, dead even in gold, pretty close to dead even in farm. But the Zac jumps forward again, landing the Q onto Vision Lord. They are looking for that Brand like we talked about. The barrier from Ultimate Ace comes through. The Jinx is excited, running forward, trying to poke down Huey, but it's not going to be enough. However, another kill goes over to the Squirtle squad off of a couple of really good ganks by Hove.
Yeah, that's just so devastating right now for the lanes of the Silverbacks. You know, I mean, the Echo's still going to have his way with the Victor right now, but those are not the champions you want to see getting the early leads.
However, once again, Hove being absolutely punished because he's got a Victor that can't help him.
Yep.
As Slowed and Vriv find the Zac out in the jungle and steal away the red buff.
Yep, that was a great job.
But a little bit of trouble coming in for the Echo here as Echo and Jarvan are trying to run away. The bot lane, however, is on the move. But the Victor, again, is just... he's too weak to confidently fight him. So he's stuck chasing him down, trying to run back. Echo ults back. It doesn't connect. However, there is a Jarvan combination and ulti, but the Jarvan ulti actually trapped. Oh, Fuzel. Oh, Fuzel dies to the red buff. However, the flash from Slowed comes out to try to secure the kill, and he's being chased down by Mycroft and Ultimate Ace now. Is this going to be another kill over to the Jinx? It looks not. Vision Lord and the bot lane from the Silverbacks is roaming up, but a really, really rough turn of events for the Squirtle squad there as Victor's just not a champion.
Yeah, I mean, you saw exactly why you picked the Echo, you know, invading onto the enemy jungler, killing him at his red. The extended fight was kind of close, but in the end, you know, it's Victor. You just can't do enough at this moment. And, you know, but in the top lane, Karen Franz with a 20 CS lead right now.
Yeah, this set is absolutely punishing the Scion, has been all game. May have gotten ganked early, but Karen Franz has been doing a really good job canceling knockups, face breakering the knockup, so his true damage goes down on an immobile Scion.
Yep.
Really, really solid play. But on the other side of the map, you've got almost a 20 gold lead for Huey and Vision Lord down there bullying the bot lane of the Squirtle squad.
Yep. And it looks like Huey is going to go for the Blade of the Ruin King first item. I think that's smart looking at the team he's going into.
And really tragic for the Squirtle squad is that first successful gank down bot, the kill went over to Thresh.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have felt a lot better had it gone on to the Jinx. But something to mention is no one's actually attempted a dragon yet, and we're almost at 10 minutes.
And I think that's a really good point because that's something that we had talked about earlier. And a big E forward by Hove manages to grab Vriv. He ults backwards, getting the damage down on the Fuzel, but he's going to have to flash away as the laser from Victor connects, and just the disrespect by the Echo costing him his life again as Hove says, you know what? I can't mid. That's what I do. I don't care if Victor's not a champion early. Zac does enough damage and I'm still going to camp mid.
Yeah. I mean, that's their strategy, and they know it's coming, but just because you know something's going to happen doesn't mean you can stop it.
Yeah, and the point that we were trying to make before that you reminded me of is really good. We talked about the fact that if they want to win this game and stay in this game past 20 minutes, there's a lot of pressure on the Silverbacks.
3v3 bot.
But here comes the 3v3 bot as the E from Zach lands onto Vision Lord. The Brand manages just barely to survive. The Jinx does get the kill off and is trying to get excited and to continue trading. But the Thresh dies as he gets ultied by the Jarvan. Ultimate Ace is running away, but he's just running into the waiting arms of Vriv on the Echo here. And that's going to be another death.
Yep.
And this should finally be the first dragon. It is, after what looked like it was going to be a good 3v3 in the bot lane, turned out really tragic for the Squirtle squad.
Yeah, Echo says thank you very much right there. Fuzel's probably saying, why did you just give that to my mid laner? But no, great counter gank by Slowed, recognizing that the Zach's going to be moving bot lane.
Yeah, and that is that first dragon. But as we talked about, you would have hoped to see that dragon go down 5 minutes earlier. This should be second dragon they're securing here. It does put the Silverbacks in a little bit less ideal of a situation that they're stuck now. It's going to be 30 minutes if they do get to Seoul, likely. And you really wanted to think that they'd get that earlier. They can't match the scaling of the Squirtle squad once you cross that 30-minute mark.
Yeah, I will say. Yeah,
especially if Squirtle Squad's able to keep gold even the whole game.
Yeah, with gold being only 200 gold apart right now, that definitely favors the Squirtle Squad as they get closer to the 5v5, the scaling. But like I mentioned, they're not going to be able to match the side lane pressure of the Echo. Like, what the Silverbacks need to do is to get another dragon, try to maybe get a Rift Herald, knock down a turret, but then move Echo into the side lane where Victor won't be able to stop him.
Agreed, and he has a little bit more ability to move and run and trade. But also critically, Karen Franz has knocked down 2 plates in top lane, and I think that they've decided at this point they can't contest the Rift Herald with 1,000 gold lead on the setup there.
Yeah, definitely not. You know, Karen Franz, like we mentioned, was kind of the one champion early game that could kind of start to like do something for the Squirtle squad, be a kind of a point of power early.
And he really is executing on that. The early gank that cost him his flash really maybe saving Snizbone's life once or twice here, but not costing him a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, as a big trade does go down in the top lane. But once again, Hove is mid again, and the Echo ulties, but it's not going to be enough as the Victor ultimate burns him down. Hove absolutely putting on a clinic of how many different ways you can gank mid lane on Zach.
Yeah, I mean, it's the camp. I don't know what else you can say about it. That's the style, and the Echo's definitely getting the worst of it right now. Falling behind in CS because of that. Certainly also falling behind in XP. But
and we did talk a little bit about how Echo is not your traditional early game assassin. As Karen Franz with a big trade down as Hove flies in to secure the kill. And the Scion is going to fall. All of the pressure by Karen Franz finally turning into something more than just plates, as they do get a kill and they are going to get some more plates. I don't know if it's going to be enough for first tower, but Slowed recognizing the fact that he needs to do something on the other side of the map, stealing away jungle from Zach, but the Zach doing a really good job saying, all right, well, I may not be able to farm my own jungle, but I can farm your laners.
Yeah, Mycroft barely just lived there in the bottom lane, using his flash and his stopwatch to deny the Brand ult from finishing him off.
As
but they're looking for Jinx.
Books it out of there as 4 go bot for the Silverbacks. But at this point, all they're going to get off of it is first tower. However, given the pressure up top lane, that is a fairly good trade for them.
Yeah, no, getting the first tower here as well opens up the option to push your Echo into the side lane. Because Victor, even though he's ahead, shouldn't be able to match the Echo 1v1 without a turret down there. It gives the Echo opportunity to punish or opportunity to find the Victor.
As the Silverbacks looking strong for the mid lane here, a little bit of BM from Fuzel on that back is going to cost him half of his health bar.
Yeah.
And a little peek onto the Rift Herald by Snizbone as he walks back up to this top lane. But Karen Franz on the set just running at him, saying, no, that's my pink ward.
Yeah, definitely not. Karen Franz says, nope, you're not stopping me anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at both teams right now, and surprisingly, the Victor is 3-1. But the Jarvan's 3-0-2, and he is actually going for kind of a damagey Jarvan build with the Warrior the Warrior enchantment into Black Cleaver. The bot lane of the side of the Silverbacks is certainly strong.
Oh, big engage though. Karen Franz getting a little too big for his britches. Gets ulted by the Scion, and he wasn't expecting the Lucian to have roamed up there, but a couple of quick shots from the Lucian, and that sets down. And that's a huge wave that he's going to lose, and possibly a turret also. But Hove in the area is going to come through, eat the wave, and chunk down Snizbone while he's at it. With the Zap ulti trying to get the kill here, and he just might. That's a kill for Hove onto the Scion there, saying, you ain't tanky enough for this, boy.
No, definitely not. Oh, Echo looking like he wanted to go in on the bot lane there, but wisely chooses to back off. But, the big thing there was Lucian got another kill, and the Lucian is about 1,000 gold up on the Jinx. And if there was ever a time, I think it's Huey's time to try to carry this game, kind of say, hey, Ultimate Ace, you had a great Jinx game, but this is my turn. This is why I was voted the first team ADC.
I definitely agree with you there. And critically to note, Zach does get the kill on the Scion in top lane, but it costs his team second dragon. So while we were talking earlier about the way that the dragons were going to play out, big flash from the Brand trying to stay alive, stretching strikes lands, but it's not going to be enough to cause any serious damage as Huey ultimates out. And Karen Franz manages to drop that top turret.
Yeah, we're looking at an Ocean Rift this game, and I mean, with 2 dragons already, if they can fix their mistakes from last game and not lose this next dragon fight and get close to Soul, the Scion with an Ocean Soul, the Jarvan with an Ocean Soul, just become so much harder to deal with.
The flip side of that, though, is you're never going to kill Zach or Set with 4 Ocean Dragons.
Yep. No, certainly, and that's why this third dragon fight, where the game kind of slipped out of the Silverbacks' hands, is going to be so critical this time around.
And they are playing from about a 1,500 gold difference as Vision Lord falls to Foozle on the last tick of that ulti before it flashes back, and Vriv finds Ultimate Ace on the other side, but Ace is too big, and Vriv uses the ulti to get back after dodging out some of the damage, flashes forward to get the draw through on the yo-yo, and that's going to be a kill there as Slowed goes forward onto Foozle. The ulti comes out, but the flash out of Foozle is going to get him to safety as trades going down on both sides of the map now. Nobody willing to secede an inch, and both teams have really volatile, destructive carries on the sidelines.
Yeah, no, certainly. That was a nice job by Foozle to actually just kill the Brand under his own turret, but that shows the strength. Who can match the Echo 1v1 right now? Nobody. And I mean, Vriv did a great job picking off Ultimate Ace, blowing both of his summoners.
The side note to that, though, is the fact that with the Echo out of the mid lane, the Victor with the big front line of the Squirtle squad is pretty much able to push up and do whatever they want.
Echo's coming behind.
Goes in onto Foozle, whose flash is down. He takes the lantern away to safety, but Foozle's chunked out, and Hove takes a big amount of damage too as that Echo comes back around.
Yep. No, Echo's strategy right now, as he did there, was definitely kind of push out the bottom lane, and if no one wants to fight you down there, roam up to the mid.
And the map control coming out nets a Rift Herald for the side of the Squirtle squad, as they're going to look to try to push the advantage that they have. But they're only 1,000 gold in the lead. But to say they're only 1,000 gold in the league when their whole goal is scaling is a little bit disingenuous.
No, certainly. It's the same as last game. They're definitely not... Oh, but Echo's looking for Victor.
Victor alone in this bot lane, but not enough vision for Vriv for him to be comfortable going in. And despite it being an Hector or a Victor, he is huge. Look at that chunk damage that comes down onto the Echo. Vriv gets stunned up and has to burn his ulti to survive, but he might be dead anyways. The E and the Proto Belt aren't enough to get him out of range of the Victor ulti. And we thought that the Echo couldn't be matched in the side lane, but the 8,000 gold Victor seems to have no problem matching anybody, as he's 1,500 gold up on anybody else in the game right now.
Yep. Oh, another engage by Hove. That's a kill.
The immobile Brand punished once again. 0, 4, and 3 on this Brand is Vision Lord. as Holv really just punishing him on repeat. Slowed and Huey looking to pick the Zach, but Slowed probably wisely deciding that that's not a fight they're going to win.
No, forget everything I said about the Echo in the side lane. The fruits of Holv's labor, camping the victor, paid off there.
Oh, and Huey walks back up, disrespecting the pressure from the Zach, and dashes away to dodge the slow, but is going to be chunked down and pushed out as there's a Rift Herald in the top lane as Vriv is getting punished by Set because Set is a terrible lane for a Victor to have, or for an Echo to have to deal with. And the Victor walking up on the bot side of the map pushes them out of this dragon pit as third dragon is about to spawn. The Squirtle squad firmly in control of the pit, and the Echo looking for the play onto the Set, who ultimates the Brand to try to get away, but a good stun comes out by Brand, keeping him there as 4 men are committed to try to chase Karen Franz down in the top lane, and they do finally knock him down after expending a whole lot. But they're still giving over a free dragon and a turret for that 1 kill.
Yeah, they get the kill, which is nice, but yeah, they lose the dragon, which makes them like if you're looking for what the Silverbacks win condition is at this point when they're falling so far behind to a team with better scaling, would be getting the strength of the Ocean Soul, but now that slowly starts to fall further out of their reach.
Yeah, you have to look at it, and this is what we were talking about with the timers early on. If they started that dragon pressure early, this kind of flame horizon where the Victor is now too big for them to deal with wasn't quite online at 18 minutes. Now you're at 22 minutes. Victor's 5-1-0. He's 2,000 gold ahead of anybody else in the game. And you really are in a situation where the early game that you had to win, you can't win the team fights now in this early game anymore.
Yeah. There's definitely going to need to be some heroics from the carries on the side of the Silverbacks to have a chance. Probably honestly just mechanical outplays for them to have a chance.
And you got to look even harder at the lack of scaling in that the Lucian didn't go for the Muramana. It's a Blade of the Ruined King Lucian.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And damaged Jarvan actually scales worse than tank Jarvan. So the only real scaling in the favor of the Silverbacks right now is the 1-4 Brand and the 0-2 Scion. Yeah. And I just don't see how they get out of this successfully as Vriv's trying to side lane, but just getting chased down and abused by the Victor.
Yeah, if you're looking at what their opportunities are, it's getting big Scion engages, getting the Jarvan onto carries without flash, picking people off. Like, that's their window of opportunity.
If after draft you told me that the Squirtle squad would be 3,500 gold in the lead at 23 minutes, I would have told you that game was over at 23 minutes because you needed to flip that script. That's where the Silverbacks needed to be at this point in the game to be able to continue scaling into it and fighting it. I don't know how they get back into this game short of a cheeky Baron call or some dramatic misplay by the Squirtle squad where they catch Foozle out of position.
Yeah, I will still say the skirmishing on the side of the Silverbacks, while the 5v5 is definitely not there, the skirmishing is still pretty strong. If you can just get like the Jarvan plus the Echo onto someone, or the Brand plus the Lucian, maybe even just in a 2v2 against the bot lane, like if they can somehow find these smaller skirmishes, I think they can still win, but a 5v5 is looking unrealistic.
Oh, as the Echo jumps forward onto Foozle, the TP coming in from the Scion, he ultis back to get out, and he flashes forward again, burning everything to try to get this, but Foozle flashes over the Scion ulti. Slow does show up with the Jarvan ulti. They do finally manage to knock down the Victor. It costs them 4, but on the other side of the map, Karen Franz on this set is just continuing to push, and we've already seen how much it takes for them to kill him. So you have to imagine he gets this turret, maybe the inhibitor as well before they can get there, but he opts to back out and take the safety of what he got. Huey managing to trade back onto him, but look at that damage. Oh, Karen Franz misplays. He holds the face breaker instead of channeling it and doesn't get the shield and gets blown up by the Brand and the Jarvan damage before he can get his shield and damage off.
Yeah, but you're seeing kind of what I was talking about there. Like, even though the Victor at this point does beat the Echo in a 1v1, it's still Victor pushed way too far up. Like, if he doesn't have flash, if they commit all of that to catch him out, you can still catch out the Victor. And then as well as getting a nice pick onto Karen in the top lane, those are the kind of like isolated skirmishes the Silverbacks are going to have to keep finding. Because now it is only a 2k gold lead at this point. They have dropped it down, and Echo did just complete his Lich Bane, which does help him out a lot as well.
I mean, so the critical errors that we were concerned about coming through is both of the Squirtle Squad solo laners get caught on opposite sides of the map, but they do open the base up, and even with the 1,000 gold going into the pocket of the Echo and the Lucian, you have to be a little bit concerned with the fact that the scaling is just still not on the side of the Silverbacks. The set is almost 2,000 gold ahead of the top laner. And another big trade from Vriv onto Fuzel, but Fuzel, looking for the trade back, realizes there's 4 members strong there and backs up himself.
Yep.
Jinx Rocket goes wide as the Echo is recalling here around the Dragon Pit, and you have to think that they're looking to try to set up a strong side of the map here, knowing that the Dragon's spawning in the next couple of seconds, but... Yeah. With the Echo having to... Oh, Echo does have TP. He isn't going to have to walk all the way if he doesn't want to.
Victor has no flash. He has no ultimate. The Silverbacks must win this team fight, and they need to try to find some kind of engage onto the flashless Victor.
There are no there are all the ultimates up in the favor of the Silverbacks, and the Squirtle Squad looking for a way into this fight. But recognizing that they might need to make a really big steal as Pulv charging up the E. The ult from Set comes through, lands on 4. What a massive chunk as the E from Zac follows it up. And Karen Franz has slain the Scion. The Jinx gets a kill. However, we've got absolute pandemonium going down in the backlines as Ultimate Ace is online now. But Huey comes over the wall, saves Vriv. Vriv backs up and dodges the Set. That was a huge 2v2 or 5v5, resulting in 3 members falling down on both sides. As Vriv looking to make a play here, Vision Lord had to leave entirely, and they're trying not to lose this dragon, but Vriv runs right into the Set and gets deleted by Karen Franz without even getting his skills off. And Squirtle Squad once again manages to eke out a win in what was an absolutely massive fight. The Set ulti coming through, huge, ulting the Scion back onto 4 members of his team, dropping the entire team to half just in time for the Zac to land the E and ulti on top of it. Great coordination coming through from the Squirtle Squad, but the Silverbacks really clawed it back and almost managed to turn that fight.
But yeah, you saw, like, when you have the Victor and the Jinx Rockets providing so much AoE, the Set, like, 4-man face breaker with the Zac coming in on top of that, just so much AoE damage. It's honestly a miracle that the Silverbacks were able to even, like, keep that close with nice team fighting out of Huey and Slowed and Vriv and all at the end.
Yeah, I don't really understand how they managed to turn that. It looked like it was going to be a pretty clean ace, but I have to imagine that they got huge damage out of the Brand ult and were able to run away and pick things off on the back and the bot side of that. But that's a fight I'd have to go back and watch in slow-mo to understand just how they managed to survive it. As Fuzel finds Snizbone up in the top lane, but that's a Scion, man.
Yeah. But I mean, at this point of the game, it really is all about the Squirtle Squad just kind of playing it safe. But, oh, Echo might be caught here.
And Karen Franz running down the Echo as he dunks forward. Vriv going to have to ult backwards, which puts him in a little bit of a bad area. However, he is able to juke out through his own jungle with the support of Slowed. And the E from Zac lands, pushing the bot lane off, trying to make room for Karen to chase. But ult out of both the people on the side lane in the Set and the Echo. Critically, however, Karen Franz continuing to push as the Set has healed all the way back up to full health, and Echo's still sitting at a fraction while the rest of the team sieges mid. However, with the jungler out of the picture right now, Scion ults forward, manages to get some damage down. The ulti comes down from Jarvan onto the Victor as he flashes away. TP coming through from the Echo, but the Echo is going to be a little too far forward, does manage to get out successfully as flashes burned. on the side of the Squirtle squad, but nobody falling down on either team.
Yeah. And I mean, you have to wonder now, though, because Victor's at 3 items. Jinx is getting very close to 3 items. It really is just about the Squirtle squad not getting caught out by an engage like that and just looking for like the clean 5v5.
And also critically, the Squirtle squad have secured the last 2 dragons, which means that if they are in a position where they can't take a dragon and they just have to sacrifice it for the sake of scaling, they're at a point now where they can reliably say 5 minutes from whenever the next dragon spawn is, we're going to be big enough that we win that fight 100%.
Yep, Jinx did just hit her 3 items, has the completed Phantom Dancer alongside the Infinity Edge and the Runeans.
And it feels like the end of this is already written, but League of Legends is a high variability game, so it really is on our players to see what happens here as Vriv is invading into the jungle looking for Fuzel, who walks forward to try to trade back, but the rest of the Silverbacks are there, and that's going to be a catch onto the Victor. It looked like they might have been able to collapse, but the Squirtle squad was just a couple seconds too late, and Fuzel walks up thinking he has a team, but there's nobody there. And that's a great time for a pick for the Silverbacks. However, Hove jumps forward. The E doesn't connect. Vrivnev's in the backline, goes golden to try to survive as the Jarvan jumps into the back, but he also has to go golden. Echo, however, falls down. The Jinx damage is just too much. They've tried to dive, but they don't quite manage to kill the Jinx as Ultimate Ace is still alive and limping around, and they made the dive, but they traded 2 for 2 on the dive. They might get the turret here, but at what cost?
Yeah, I feel Vriv's pain there. He wasn't actually able to get his chrono break off before going down. That always feels bad as the Echo. But a good team fight by the Silverbacks after getting the critical pick on the Victor. But, you know, just being under the turret and with the Jinx having the Phantom Dancer and the barrier, I mean, that's just such big shielding that she was able to barely stay alive.
Well, and you have to imagine with the Dragon coming up in 20 seconds now, the trade doesn't really go in the favor of the Silverbacks. They're the ones who are going to be late to this Dragon.
Yeah, Echo has no teleport.
They're the ones that are going to have to look to try to make a play with both teleports up on the side of the Squirtle squad. And critically, Flash is still up for Ultimate Ace. Did not have to burn it in dodging that dive attempt. But the Dragon is started up here as the Squirtle squad think that they burn it fast enough. But the real question is with Hove out of position and Mycroft taking a lot of damage, they're going to have to try to make a play to get out. Snizbone barely alive. Karen Franz is the first to fall, closely followed by Vrivnev, however, with the rest of the team low. Snizbone ults back in. The Scion falls, but he does manage to knock up and get the kill onto the Jinx first. Vision Lord's still alive. Hove trying to bounce around and do what he can.
Alive.
But Fuzel's still there. The Victor is still destroying people. A huge E from Hove forward. That is the shutdown off of Huey. They tried to take the fight. It looked like it might go in their favor, but they only can shut down one of the carries as the Victor manages to stay on the outside of the fight and destroy them while they do pick up the Jinx. That is the third dragon over to the Squirtle squad. And it feels like the writing is all but on the wall for the Silverbacks as the Squirtle squad have now come online. They are so passive. They are reaching those late game power spikes as 3 items coming through across the board.
Yeah, these fights are so close, but it's just barely not enough. Like you mentioned, they're only able to really get one of the carries finished off, and it's so close, but just like barely out of their reach. And really, in 5 minutes, when the next Ocean Drag comes out, if the soul goes through, it really is kind of curtain call. But just they're finding good engages. Like the Scion had a really nice ultimate onto the Jinx without flash, but like you said, the Victor went untouched.
And they were too low before that fight. They were chunked out. They had been poked out. They had to walk up into position because of the last fight they lost. It feels like the Silverbacks are doing all the right things, but they're doing them too late. They needed to be making these plays. They needed to be able to get this proactivity earlier on in the game when they still had the lead. It seems like they waited until the Squirtle squad was willing to fight with them, willing to trade with them. And Karen Franz stealing the blue buff away and absolutely beating on Vrivnev. However, Huey is there. and ults back, but the damage is massive off of the face breaker as Huey does finally manage to knock down the set, but he falls in trade, and Slowed traps himself into the Jarvan ulti with a Victor ult. He can't get away. Hove from downtown flies in, knocking out Vriv. This might be the end of the Silverbacks.
You thought they picked Karen Franz, but he just stayed alive for so long with the Death Dance healing, with the Ocean Drake healing, and then with his own shield off of his W. It took them just a little too long to kill him, and then they just didn't have enough damage after that. Once the Lucian got knocked down, there's no one that can finish off the Jinx.
You can't pick a set. Critical mistake that is made by teams all over the place. Set is not a pickable champion once it's late enough into the game. He just moves too well. He heals too much. He shields too much. And by the time you think you're about to kill him, you've burned everything you have, and the enemy team shows up and wipes you. And that's what just happened.
Yeah, critically, he buys a lot of time, but they are looking for the...
But Ultimate Ace overextends for the inhibitor and gets blown up as Hove is going to fall to Huey here. And there goes the Zac. The Bloblets are out. They're going to try to save him, but he does get shut down by the Brand, and Slowed is on the Mycroft now. He ults forward onto him. They are going to try to secure the kill onto this support. The Victor's there looking, but he recognizes the fact that he can't win that. He's now in a really dangerous spot as he's spotted out by the sweeper of Slowed. Fuzel is in trouble. He walks forward. Slowed is chasing him down. The entire team is chasing him. The Scion ulti manages to tag in just enough. They do shut down the Victor, and it just went from being curtain call to lights out. 4 kills for the Silverbacks, and this is going to be a free Baron. As the
Do you believe?
Standing is Karen Franz. Do you believe in miracles?
I'm starting to, if they can keep finding picks like that. Send us to game 3, please.
Ocean Drake spawning in 90 seconds, and the Baron buff will be strong on the Silverbacks as the Jinx Rocket almost comes through, but they body block successfully. Karen Fran's going to get caught now, trying to get vision or make a play just in the wrong spot as the Baron goes over, and that is 5 for none. The gold is even after an entire game of chasing with the comp that scales worse. Off of an overextension for a green inhibitor, the Silverbacks are back in this game. And
they don't want their season to end right here. The Silverbacks want to take it to a game 3. You have to be realistic and still say, you have the Victor, you have the Jinx. It would require a few more mistakes. But if the Silverbacks can keep finding those picks, it's not over yet.
It really comes down to this next fight. This is a huge fight for the Silverbacks. If they can win this fight cleanly around the Dragon with the Baron buff on, they may be able to march through the base. However, they're on vision here, and Hove jumps forward. They're outnumbered. The Lucian is deleted before he even gets to make a play, and that's going to be a stun onto the Slowed. Also, Karen Franz is just getting there.
Big echo stun.
Trying to kill Ultimate Ace, but he has to ult out. Karen picks up the Brand and smacks him down. They're chasing Vriv. Fuzel on the backside kills Vision Lord with the laser. The Echoes on the retreat. They're trying to limp away. And while the Squirtle squad think they might taste blood, they realize Ocean Soul is a safer way to win this game. They are going to de-escalate a little bit and take the Ocean Soul. And
well, we were getting hyped, but I think that just shows it. The Zac pick has just found engages both games just time and time again.
In a bad situation, tries to ulti out, but Ultimate Ace stands in front of him. The Jinx says, you may run me down on my own, but my team is here. I have an Ocean Soul. Nothing can hurt me. And the Squirtle squad looking to siege up mid against the Baron empowered minions, but you have to imagine with a Jinx, there's not a whole lot that 3 members or now 4 members of the Silverbacks can do to stop this push. They have no turrets left. They're about to get triple inhibited. All that's left is Nexus turrets. There's 4 of them. They just take a laser to the face. Vriv goes forward. He's trying to stop it. Karen Franz with the massive shield as both Vriv and Vision Lord drop to almost dead, but not quite. However, Karen Franz does fall. But for 3 inhibitors, and they have Ocean Soul, and the Baron's not on the map. If you're Silverbacks, what do you do here? You have to sit in your base and soak up minions and hope against hope that you win the next team fight.
I will say the Squirtle squad has thrown from 3 inhibitors before, but I don't know if it's gonna happen this time with the scaling and with the Ocean Soul. It looks like the Squirrel Squad are gonna punch their ticket to the finals. It's not over just yet, but you really are gonna need a miracle at this point.
Yeah, this is the belief was there, the hype was there, they were bringing it back, but then you just are starting to see the scaling difference and the control of the map difference that's been in the Squirtle Squad's favor almost the entire game.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see the difference in the team comps from draft. The Squirtle Squad drafted exactly how they wanted to. They said, the Silverbacks can't threaten us early game. They knocked us down a little early, but we outscaled, we came back. And in game 2, they really over-indexed on that. They said, you know what? We want to fight you at 42 minutes. And it's 42 minutes now. They've managed to take all 4 dragons after giving up the first 2 again. They've triple inhibited them. They did lose the Baron off of a little bit of an int, but it's live or die time now with all 5 members walking into the base and looking to siege up the Nexus.
Yep, track Lucian in this fight. If he can dodge the initial engage, he has Guardian Angel, he has Flash and Heal. If anyone was going to carry, it'd be him.
And a huge, huge trade going down as the Silverbacks trying against hope to try to make the play, but they're only able to knock down the Thresh. Everybody else is falling. Huge CC coming out of Hove. Huey's there. He's trying to fight back, but the damage from Victor is just massive. Traps come down. That's the curtain for the Silverbacks. The Squirtle squad come in with their game plan, and they say, you cannot stop us.
Yep. Great
And
series.
it was a bloody bath. None of those games were a stomp by any means. Both of those games were incredibly close and hotly contested the entire game. But the Squirtle squad comes out on top of the Silverbacks once again, 2-0ing them.
Yeah, I mean, Squirrel Squad definitely is feeling good moving into their finals match next week. And, whoever the team is on the other side, definitely going to have to be doing their research because it's not going to be an easy task.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild finals for sure, especially watching just how bloody these games were today. The Squirtle squad coming through with some massive team fight scaling comps, and the Silverbacks fighting them every inch of the way. But before we move on to our series ace and MVP, let's talk about the ace and MVP from this last game.
Yeah, honestly, once again, I don't know. I guess I'm just a sucker for good Zach play, but it's so close between Foozle and the Zach. Foozle really you look at the damage chart. He put on a clinic on how to play Victor in a counter matchup, but you have to give credit to the Zach for allowing that to happen, for giving him the first blood. And then Zach was finding critical engages. Just as we were starting to say, do you think that the Silverbacks have found a way back in? Zach just says he must have heard me talking and he just shut me up because he immediately found an engage onto the Lucian and kind of just decided the game right there.
I agree 100%. Early on in the game, I was thinking, yep, maybe Hove. And then the middle of the game, Foozle turned a late game champion into a mid game champion and deleted people everywhere for no reason. But then in the end of the game, when the chips were down, when his solo laners were getting caught on both sides, making questionable decisions, Hove stands tall on the Zach and makes all of the plays that were needed to turn the game in the favor of the Squirtle squad.
Definitely.
As an ace, Slow played fantastically. I think that he just put himself on a champion that's not that good in the Jarvan, and they didn't pair it with the right kind of ADC. I think if you're going to be picking a Jarvan and focusing on that, you need a Kog'Maw, you need a Twitch, you need an Ashe or something that's going to benefit from that attack speed boost in such a way that it's going to be able to mow down everything that's in front of you.
Heck yeah. Yeah. I would kind of have to agree with you there. I thought Huey also played well on the Lucian, but it's so hard to play a pick like the Lucian into the dive of their team and into the tankiness of their team.
I agree 100%. We talked about that as a concern when the draft's locked in, and it kind of played out that way where they just didn't have enough damage in the mid to late game on the side of the Silverbacks to carry out. My series MVP, I don't know about yours, has to go to Holv. The Zach died 3 times across 2 games and was absolutely clutch in setting up and remedying a lot of the errors that were almost blundered through on the side of the Squirtle squad.
Yeah, I definitely have to give it to Holv as well. I thought the Zach pick was just really impressive.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for the Shurima semifinals tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We hope to be back next weekend with the Shurima finals, as well as possibly a VOD of the other Shurima semifinal match. I am Cage the Cage Reaper here with Brewer, signing off and wishing you all a good night.
Good night.